It's time for some chaos. Finally, we get a chaos supplement that's actually worth talking about, I guess, so to speak. Well, don't get me wrong. There's been some good ones, but there's been a lot more bad things than good. So let's take a look at Traitors Hate. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer here once again today with a closer look at the brand new supplement for Chaos Space Marines. This is Traitors Hate, and it doesn't suck. This is a great book, and we've seen rumors and teasers and all sorts of things throughout the week, and everybody's got an opinion on this book. Everybody's tried to out-meta and out-game it, and talk about all this stuff, and GW's already, put out so many FAQs about some of the stuff, like some of the formations and things, most notably the one with the Possessed, saying that you can't use them with the Demon King because it's a different chart, or I guess it was a Facebook post, whatever. Long story short, this is a great book. Will it make Chaos competitive again? No, probably not, unless you play in a Bring It Hobby Back event where you get good hobby scores for having all your stuff painted, based, display board, etc., etc. So that way you can actually lose a game and still, win a tournament for a game that is hobby based, you know what I mean? So there is that. Granted, straight competitive events with no enforceable painting requirement, air quotes, that we've seen in the past, well, you might not do as well with this, but it is going to get people painting up their Chaos Space Marines, and it is going to get Chaos Space Marines proper on the table playing. Now, pros and cons of this book. Pros, it's probably the most playable rules we've gotten for Chaos in a long time, not counting the Cabal. It's a great supplement. It's got a great story. It's the first in the series of Black Crusade supplements. We're going to see the Blood Angel ones coming out, the Angel of Blade ones coming out next week. It may have Chaos in it, it may not. Now we're seeing it might even be Gene Stealer stuff coming out the following week for Gene Stealer Codex. So Games Workshop is not resting on their laurels right now. Cons wise, this book does not contain any new war gear, warlord traits, or it only has 2 data sheets with 11 new formations. Now there is a detachment in here, aka a Decurion, which they get, which there's some very playable stuff in here, don't get me wrong. They brought the Renegade Knight back. They got the Lord of Skulls in here, and of course Karn with a couple of updated rules, but nothing too big. I mean, overall, he hasn't changed much there. So let's take a closer look at the book. Now remember, this is always our first look review, where we basically break the book down, give you an overview, let you decide whether you want to buy it or not. And then we do a tips or tricks video, usually the next week, where we break down more of the rules, go over things, how they work together, give you some food for thought on your games, because those usually take about an hour, and it's just irresponsible to try to combine the two, because it just will come off as a kind of a non-constructive mess, I guess, where it's very hard to follow along with. So contents in here, we've got 2 chapters, The Slaughter Begins and Kill, Maim, Burn, which is basically the story of the opening act of the 13th Great Crusade, which I guess got retconned from the 2000s, whatever, it's fine. Something different. So this is talking about how the Crimson Slaughter comes in, Blood Angels retort in kind, and then Karn in his Butcher Horde lands, and guess what? The fight gets a little bit harder for the Blood Angels, and that's kind of where they leave it. So it's a really neat little story, and of course they have the Orders of Battle, talking about, all the different models involved, and we'll kind of preview some of that in this book too. Then it gets into the actual talking about actually, I didn't even read the chapter 3. So basically the overlying thing is that there's a ritual, and it's a 3-part ritual, and Karn coming in and slaying Blood Angels lends their blood, the Crimson Slaughter's blood, and the blood that Karn kind of spills to create this ritual kind of thing, and that's basically the storyline of the premise of the book. And I didn't read that chapter, so we're just going to leave that one alone, and that just gives you something to kind of think about. Whoa, what exactly is going to happen in this book? Where's the story going? All right, because I don't even know. I didn't read that part. Chapter 4 is the actual rules themselves, where it gets into all of the new data sheets, which they're not really new data sheets. There's, as far as I can tell, it's just Karn got a couple of updates on a sheet, still the same points cost, etc. Then the new formations. Then it gets into the new psychic powers, which are really cool too, which are indeed the bad guy versions of the good guy powers that came out for Space Marines in Angels of Death supplement. Then they do get some new tactical objectives here. I can't really see anything different with Lord of Skulls to right off cursory look. I'm not seeing it. Maybe there is some changes, but I was not able to line them up and definitively say one way or another there. But there is some pretty good stuff in here that we will talk about. So chapter 1, like we're talking about, Slaughter Begins, is basically the Crimson Slaughter invading the system. And here's like the order of battle, talking about some of the forces involved right there, etc., etc. And then it gets into Karn landing with his Butcher Horde, and of course, stuff gets real there. And then his order of battle for his Butcher Horde, there's the Butcher Horde, and talking about all his peeps. And then it gets into the mysterious third chapter that I didn't read, and I just completely skipped. And there's all that. Well, it looks like that's Abaddon, so maybe we have a dramatic foreshadowing of events to come. Don't really know, but there's the Lord Zorphos the Tainted is kind of the guy setting all these plans in motion for this big ritual, which I actually don't know what it is because, like I said, I skipped that chapter. Don't have a lot of time to devote to all this stuff today. We had a lot of news coming out over towards the end of the week, so a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of directions to go. So this is just going to be our typical first look review. So here's the Forces of the Renegade Knight, which we saw all of these rules in the Knights Renegade box that came out, the little supplement in there. All of this stuff, 325, you can take the double Gatling guns, whatever you want to do here. It's pretty much 100% customizable, which is kind of weird that Chaos got those rules in the first place, because usually Chaos doesn't get the grab, doesn't get the assault cannons, but they're actually Knights that are more customizable and arguably better than the Imperial ones, which I'm 100% for. Then we get the Forces of the Chaos Space Marines, where, like I said, the data sheets and the formations are in here. They update the Vindicator squadrons, they update the Predator squadrons over to the same as Space Marines, so they get a bonus if you field them in squads of 3 and they're still able to fire. Actually, I think that's only for the Vindicators. You still get it as long as you have 3 Chaos Predators alive. They have Monster Hunter and Tank Hunter on the squadron of Predators there. And it seems like, from doing the math, that the best build for that is going to be an autocannon on top, twin Lazes on the side sponsons. But it's really hard to say at that point. Then we get to the actual Black Crusade detachment. Now there's 11 new formations in here. Now some of them are technically not really formations, like stuff like this. Well, that actually is. I guess the 1 to 3 units of Chaos Spawn is not a formation. Anything that doesn't have a page number next to it technically is not a formation. So these aren't. This one isn't here, and these right here, just taking a Chaos Lord, Sorcerer Lord, Demon Prince. Read the command benefits. There's a lot of stuff in here that's really good, right off the bat. We're going to talk about this next week in our tips and tactics breakdown. But the Chaos Warband is a great place to start. OBSEC is strong, and the ability to switch out the Chaos Lord. See these little notations here, kicking you over to here, where you can sub out, Abaddon, Huron, Karn, Typhus, Lucius, Fabius Bile may be taken instead of a Chaos Lord, and you can switch out Aramon instead of a Sorcerer. Abaddon and Typhus may also be taken instead of a Chaos Lord or Sorcerer in the number 3 notations here, which isn't on this one, so that's only for other stuff there. So good stuff coming from that. Then we've got Karn the Betrayer, where the only thing it looks like is new here is the Nexus of Khorne, where if the primary detachment includes Karn, Khorne Berserkers are troops instead of elites. Lord of Skulls is still 288, still can't stomp. Still very expensive on the upgrades. I guess they just basically ported him over, from not Stronghold Assault, from Escalation Book. I don't know what's going on there, but I think he is way too expensive to see competitive play. Obviously, casual play, you will see a lot of him, and there's a formation in here for 3 of those. And then it kicks over to the formations themselves. Like I said, Chaos Warband is a very strong choice, a great place to go. If you listen to our podcast earlier in the week, we outlined our top 4, which was the Cult of Destruction, the Hammer, the Fist of the Gods, and then honorable mention, the Lost in the Dam. So I think there's a lot you can do with those. Actually, if you splash in some Renegade Knight Titans instead of taking double formations, I think there's a lot of play there too. Is it competitive? 50-50, but it'll definitely get you a lot of shots off and you'll have a lot of fun playing it. I would love to outshoot the Tau, to be quite honest, if I had that opportunity with Chaos. Then it gets back to the War Gear section, which, like I said, a lot of this is very similar to anything we've seen before. Then it gets into Sorcerers, where they basically just say, hey, we got Sorcerers, here's the new mirror image disciplines, which you can see right here are in fact the case. We saw that earlier in the week, and I think it's great. You know, Chaos being able to reroll saves, being able to get ignore cover. Chaos, remember, when you take the little familiar guys, Chaos actually has better odds to get spells off than Loyalists. So think about that for a minute. And the fact that you can get that Cabal is pretty dope. Like, the Cabal plus these powers may just really escalate Chaos to that point where they're pretty bomb. You know, taking these guys on bikes, you know, to keep up with Bark squads, you know, Fleshhounds or something like that if you want to bring in Demonkin, you know, just a way to protect them really is kind of what you're looking for there. But they can really have some serious, you know, benefits to your squads in the game. I mean, even if you take a Lord of Skulls, I mean, being able to augment him with, you know, some of these psychic powers is pretty good. I mean, clocking it at 888, you got to have something for that guy. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see a lot of competitive play. And then there's the other two right there, and the tactical objective. So that's pretty much it for the book. It is kind of a little beefy, 135 points, which is kind of cool to see. I'm definitely a fan of that. It is, you know, technically bigger than a normal codex, which is normally around 110. Space Marine 1s are around 150, 160. So I think you're getting good value for your money here. It is a hardcover, where the Angels of Death, or the Angels of Death supplement, was a soft cover for 33. So take that to be, you know, for whatever it's worth there from Games Workshop. But I'm pretty stoked on this. I think it definitely breathes new life into Chaos. Is it everything Chaos players hoped for? No, I don't think so. You know, because a lot of veteran players are not going to be happy unless you get the Legion rules, unless you get the traits back, the veteran abilities. But this is a good halfway point between what we normally get from GW and what we really, really want. So I'm happy to meet in the middle and just get some new rules and that are playable on the tabletop, rather than just bitch about, well, you know, we didn't get Iron Warriors rules, or we didn't get blah, 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 you know, Alpha Legion, you know, because there's a lot of hate out there. But still, I think this is a good solid of the road. And plus, there's more books in the series. GW can come back. They can lower points cost. They could put out a Iron Warrior supplement. They could put out, well, you could argue that this is technically the Iron Warrior supplement, the way you can field a lot of these formations. But, you know, they could come out with the Alpha Legion. You know, they could come out with all this stuff and put a reduced points cost on it, similar like they do with X-Wing, where you take a card and it lowers the points cost of the ship you put it on. You can just be like, hey, if you field, you know, Khorne Berserkers in this formation, you may field them at a -5 points cost per model or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to get around it without changing your core book. And I think GW has a really good opportunity going forward in some of these books here. This could be a reoccurring, you know, supplement theme throughout the next year or so. You know, there's a lot of play here that Games Workshop has. So this is a really great first kind of offering for the Chaos Space Marines for Games Workshop. You know, it's a lot of respect. I super appreciate what they did with this book, and I can't wait to see the Blood Angels, what they're going to do for Blood Angels, and moving forward with more Chaos, and of course, what looks to be some Gene Stealer cults as well. So thanks for watching. Check back next week for our tips and tactics on the brand new Traitors Hate for Chaos.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos.